And we're live, two-man booth for Taco Tuesday, WinDailySports.com pre-lock NBA show. I'm the host for today. It's Ghost, and I'm joined by Adam, as Tony's out of office tonight, but we will be back tomorrow for the three-man booth as well. We got a six-game slate here tonight. Thank you for joining me. How you doing, bro?
Not too bad. Is there anything more annoying than getting the underdog alerts for games that are tomorrow within 2 hours of lock? Like it's not underdog's fault. Don't get me wrong, but every time I'm like, oh, is that news we need? It's like Chris Duarte may sit tomorrow night. I know the Pacers played tonight. It's just an example, but I'm just like, I don't need this right now. Stop alerting me.
It was pretty funny too because I saw Justin actually reply to someone, and because someone got full blown heated. They were like, "Why are you tweeting about tomorrow?" They actually went off on him for no apparent. Like they were just like, "Why are you tweeting about tomorrow?" And like they just wrote MLA formatted essay on Twitter, like used all 160 characters or whatever the character limit is, and just started blowing up at the guy for no reason. And he was like, "Well, some people bet on games in advance, so." And I was like, you know what?
I mean, like I said, right. I totally get it. I'm not, Justin does a wonderful job, but it's just like, oh, I need that. Oh no, I don't need that. Yeah. I do it like 80 times. I do it like 80 times a night.
Especially when I see a player that like I usually play. Like like there's always some guys that like if I ever see a DeJounte Murray tweet, I'm always like, oh man, are the Spurs on the slate tonight? Right. I was like, did I not? I was like, I always write up DeJounte Murray. Did I not write up DeJounte Murray tonight? I'm so confused. Then I realized that it's for the next day or something. But
and especially tonight, like we need news because one of the more appealing games on the slate could be even more appealing if somebody winds up sitting out, and we don't know that yet. So,
you want to talk about that game right away?
Yeah, let's get into it because we were kind of chatting before we started. Man, ownership is wild right now, and as things stand, this Memphis New Orleans game is getting mostly ignored. Now that'll change if Brandon Ingram ends up sitting because everyone will rightfully play CJ McCollum. But if Ingram manages to play, like nobody's playing this game, and I'm not 100% sure why. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It grades out as the second best game on the slate for me by far.
And it should, right? Like it's a 230-point total. It's the only other game that's under a double-digit spread at that high of a total. Like the Milwaukee Bucks and the Thunder have a higher total, but it's a 14-point spread. And that's kind of where we start to get concerned of, okay, these dudes may literally just get blown off the court. Like you don't play for that, but you have to at least acknowledge it.
Well, that's the thing, right? And we've seen it before. Like we saw the Timberwolves Portland game yesterday, where we were talking about Miami holding Philadelphia 82 points. And I was giving Portland credit for scoring 90 the other night, and then they go and drop 82, right? So it's just, yeah, okay, it managed to hit 220, but there were no Timberwolves that were really worth rostering yesterday that I could remember. Like, yeah, okay, Cat had an okay game, but he wasn't.
Cat had
with Embiid and with Embiid putting up 75. Yeah, like with Embiid putting up 75 and Joker put up 78 or something, it made no difference whatsoever if you had
Luka put up almost 80. Like Cat wasn't the stud to pay for it all last night,
right?
At all.
That was a clutch pivot last second there. I ended up going Embiid when Vooch got ruled out. 36 minutes of Embiid against Tristan Thompson. Like I remember we were chatting about it too. I just had to do it. I had Harden the whole time, and then when Vooch got ruled out, I immediately went to Embiid because I saw that when D'Lo got ruled out, I was like, okay, everyone's gonna play Towns, and you were the one to tell me that because I hadn't even seen the news yet.
Right.
And then he told me, well, D'Lo might be out and we might need Towns. I was like, oh man, I don't want to play. And the first thing I told you was I don't want to play Towns. Like I really don't want to play Towns.
And then 40 minutes later, LeBron got ruled out and the slate just went directly
out. That too. That was just, and then Russell Westbrook being 40% rostered. Like,
yeah, you couldn't get to Embiid because he literally got ruled out at like 7:05. And it's super frustrating when it's a guy like LeBron because he's been questionable for like 2 years. Like you don't really take that seriously anymore.
It's a surprise when he gets ruled out.
Right.
He's questionable
every game. Right. Every slate. And he always plays. So you don't even run this scenario of, well, should I take some Embiid and some Harden in case LeBron gets ruled out? So at least I get some exposure to that game. It just wasn't something that entered your mind. I mean, the Lakers need wins desperately. You don't assume LeBron's sitting. And of course, 7:05, man. I was too.
Surprised. I mean, I thought that was a game that they could have
Lakers could actually win.
Like I was getting texts about Spurs -2.5, and I was like, man, like it's tighter than I would have thought. in my model.
Right.
Like it's tighter than I would have liked. And I was on Spurs 2.5, but like it wasn't an official play for me just because I don't know, like the Lakers need wins really badly. And just when you take the math aspect out of it and you look at the human side, you're like, hey, you're really going to bet against LeBron with 15 plus games to go in this season, like with a playoff berth on the line? Not really. And then when he got ruled out, I saw it only move to 5.5. I was like, now I'm hammering it. That made no sense.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it was tough to make those adjustments. Everyone going towards Russell Westbrook, and rightfully so, was pretty much the only logical pivot there. And Russ was Russ, man. That's just what it is. But tonight we have another former OKC teammate of Russell Westbrook's in an absolute gem of a game environment right now. The Nets taking on the Hornets. This game might hit 260.
Somebody has to explain to me, and don't get me wrong, I'm not insulting Giannis Antetokounmpo. He could walk out and drop 80 and
well, yeah, Jokic wishes he could be as good as Giannis.
All right, let's calm down. I'm not sure too many NBA players have had the 27 hours Nikola Jokic just came off of. But anyway,
still a six seed.
Hey, that's what happens when you are literally playing with nobody. And the NBA media for 2 months had to say, "Oh my God, you need to get Embiid some help." Man, Joker wishes he had Embiid's help through this season before Harden got there. Okay.
Hey, Monte Morris is elite.
Jeff Green,
Monte Morris is
Austin
elite.
Rivers. Meanwhile, Embiid's over here playing with Maxey and Curry. He looks like he's in a lounge chair compared to what Joker's running with.
Monte Morris is basically a young Chris Paul. He carries that offense.
He's definitely not. But for tonight, like, listen, part of the process at this point is you get up, and if I don't write, I go to your article and I pull up the NBA standings, because now is that crunch time for playoffs. And we generally will, kind of weave that into what we're talking about in the article. The Nets and the Hornets are tied for the 8th seed. They're about 3 games back from the 6th seed, which guarantees them a series and gets them out of the play-in. Guys, this is must win the rest of the way for the Brooklyn Nets. They do not want to be in the play-in game and have to deal with possibly not even making the field. Kevin Durant's going to play 40 minutes tonight as long as this game stays close and the spread's under 7 points. It's the highest game total on the slate, and Durant has barely cracked 10% in ownership. I simply don't understand it. With Harden gone, it's him and Kyrie, and that's it. Like that's the Brooklyn Nets right now. It's the Durant and the Kyrie show against the Charlotte Hornets, who've been a target literally since day one of this season. And nobody wants to play him in a must-win game. I don't get it. It makes no sense. No sense to me whatsoever.
Not playing a lineup with Kevin Durant tonight is just like, it's just not a thinkable idea for me right now. I don't even know if that's proper English, but you get my point. Like,
I opened up,
it's just not a thought at all.
I looked at the top of the grid because I knew like Jokic and some of the other guys wouldn't be there because they played last night. I saw Antetokounmpo against OKC, and I saw Durant versus Charlotte, and I was like, okay, how do I get Durant in my lineup comfortably and vote around him? And it's been my mindset since literally 6:30 this morning.
Yeah, it's not even a question for me tonight. Like, you're getting, like, this season reeks of KD, please save us. That's what this game is going to be. That's what this game is going to be. It's going to come down to the wire, and he's not going to get off the court. And then Steve Nash is going to give him a hug when they win by 2 or something. Like,
I completely agree, man.
That's what this team is.
They don't have.
It's literally KD. It's KD. So for me, not making a lineup with Durant is just, it just doesn't make sense. So we'll speaking of which, we'll dive into the cores. I'll let you take first crack at it, although they will be awfully similar. But you got KD here. Obviously, both of us are starting with KD. You got 2 Suns with Campaign and Shamet, and then you got McCollum or LaMelo.
Yeah, so, as I mentioned, we're waiting on news for Brandon Ingram. If he sits, and generally, he wasn't on the 12:30 injury report. He popped on the 1:30 with a hamstring. Listen, I don't know. It's not like I have inside information. I'm building as he's going to sit up until the very last second. If we don't have news, I might just go to LaMelo Ball because I know at least, hey, he should play a bunch of minutes. Like I said, the Hornets need to win this game too. Any restrictions that they've been working with LaMelo Ball, whether they've said it or not, like they can't afford this anymore. The kid has to play 35 minutes a night. I said ownership was wild, and part of what I meant by that is I understand Phoenix is super shorthanded, there's like 5 Suns in the top like 8 of ownership. So if you're playing 20 max tonight, or even if you're playing a larger field tournament, one of the easiest ways to get different literally right off the bat is to cap yourself at 2 Suns. And for me, it's Payne and Shamet. I don't need DeAndre Ayton. I don't need Jay Crowder. Do these guys have a path to 6X? Sure. But even with usage bumps, DeAndre Ayton is actually taking a very slight step backwards in fantasy points per minute, and Crowder's fantasy points per minute jumps by like a negligible amount, by like 0.01. It's not even that big of a jump, and now he's over 5K. I told you before we got on, in 20 max tonight, I'm either going to have a really good night or I am getting spanked early and I can just close the DK app and be done for the night, because there's no way I'm not playing 3 or 4 Suns in these lineups tonight. I'm just not. I'm not going to do it in that game environment.
It sounds familiar, and that's what we've been talking about in Discord all day. And it just came to life with the recent rostership update on top of that. It just doesn't make sense. So for me, it will be Payne and Shamet as well, as you guys have known that I've been saying that all day long. KD is the one and only stud that I like. You have to play Kevin Durant tonight. It makes no sense not to play Kevin Durant.
And Giannis is twice his ownership. Like if he outscores Giannis,
it makes no sense against OKC. If you are playing Giannis tonight, I'm not. Let me make this clear with you, because I don't want someone to say, "Oh, you said Giannis was a bad play." Like, no, it's not it.
It's not it.
You can't say that. You can't utter the words Giannis and bad play in the same sentence. Like it doesn't exist. If you're playing Giannis, play SGA and just go full blown in that game.
Yep, and just hope
that's
that
what you got to do.
Hope that
OKC
flops.
Hope that OKC again backdoor covers this 15-point spread, like they've been coming close to, if not actually accomplishing in the last week. They're just the king of backdoor covers. And if you want to do that, go for it. But if you're playing Giannis tonight, you commit to that game all in. And you hope that, I don't even want to say the Thunder stay in it. You got to hope that SGA keeps them in the game. And at that point,
it has nothing to do with the rest of the Thunder. It's SGA.
Yeah, it's very. You gonna hope Aaron Wiggins drops 40D? Like it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So
you're gonna get housed by that 15.
Yeah, like bro, I'm a big Trey Mann guy. It's not gonna happen. Baisley against Giannis. Okay, good luck with that. And that, like, bro, it's just not gonna. You need to play SGA if you're playing Giannis tonight. That's all I'm gonna say. Payne and Shamet are my 2 Suns. Only 2 Suns I'm playing. Only 2 Suns I'm considering. $5,100 Crowder chalk it makes me nauseous. That is so gross. Against the Orlando Magic, this is not a team with elite wings where it's going to be Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder flashing upside on both ends of the court. It's the Orlando Magic. Jay Crowder can D up Franz Wagner with a blindfold on. Like he doesn't have to try in this game.
And listen, like, if Jay Crowder goes for 35, 40 DK, I'll tip my hat and I'll say I lose tonight.
I'm fine with it. Go for it.
And that's the way it is.
9 out of 10 spots, he'll drop 9 out of 10 spots, he'll drop 25.
And it's not going to help you.
It's not going to help you at 5,100. So that's the only thing. Am I okay with playing? If you guys want to roll 3 Suns, go with it. By all means, please do. I'm not telling you absolutely don't do that. That's what I was saying in Discord too. Like, I don't mean to come off as you know what and like say like no, absolutely like no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when you look at your lineup and if you say what is my path to failure, it's literally all those guys just going 5x, and you won't even sniff the cash line.
And this is the lowest total game on the slate. Like, yeah, totals aren't everything,
and it's so slow, bro. It's such a slow game. Why do the Suns feel the need to push the pace against the Orlando Magic?
Right,
it's not the thing. And if you are playing 3 Suns, I would also entertain. This is again, obviously not what I'm recommending. If you look at the bottom of your screen, it's clearly not what I'm recommending tonight. But
you want to Magic.
If you want to do it, go with Cole Anthony with no Jalen Suggs. Go with Cole Anthony. Stay away from the wings. Stay away from Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder. You want to pick on Cole Anthony against Campaign, and that's it. That's what you got to do. And you got to hope that Cole Anthony goes bonkers. So that's what it is. And speaking of Cole Anthony, Austin Rivers living off that game when he shot against UNC. Yeah, that was really, really something. But last part of my core, guys, is going to be exposure to Memphis, New Orleans. That for me is the GBP game of the slate. Brooklyn, Charlotte. If no one's playing that game, I don't know what to tell you. It's the most obvious one slate. How KD is 12% rostered. I'm really hoping that people like. I'm hoping for the sake of the field that they change their mind and that everyone starts playing Kevin Durant. Like it just doesn't make sense that he's unrostered right now. So if Brooklyn and Charlotte becomes popular, I'm obviously still getting exposure to that. Nothing changes in the form of Durant. Nothing changes in what I wrote about LaMelo and Trez and the rest of the Charlotte rotation. But the GPP game for me is because I do not think either way that Memphis New Orleans will garner much traction in this spot. So
no, there's
especially
not
with Phoenix playing at 7. If we do not get that Brandon Ingram news in time, people will not waver off of the. Everyone's going Suns, and it physically the two players that don't make it that work. If you want exposure to Memphis, New Orleans, is Crowder and Ayton, and if everyone's playing them, it's not going to work. So, hence why I'm not playing them. 2+2, but it's pretty much where we're going right now. We'll burn through some questions real quick.
And there's nobody in that Memphis game.
Kevin Love is really popular tonight with Jared Allen out. Like he's wildly popular.
Yeah.
Alvin, check in. What's up, bro? Korsberg, FanDuel as well. Yeah, it's always both sites for us. So typically site to site, what we'll do is it's always similar. It's always the same core that we'll keep. And then if there's someone that's like obscenely priced, I'm just gonna outright say it that it's always on FanDuel, that someone's underpriced. We'll always point that out and say like, hey, this guy's a must play on FanDuel. If you don't play him on DK, we're cool with that. But those are pretty much the only two scenarios where like if we're playing like a $3,500 punt or something, the salary structure is much different on DK, right? Whereas on FanDuel, you could go a lot more balanced because everyone's underpriced. So those are pretty much on the DK side. Not all $3,000 punts are viable on FanDuel. Whereas on FanDuel, if ever someone is ridiculously underpriced, we'll always point that out to you guys. But that's about it. Is there any game that you want to talk about outside of that?
I really wanted to try and get like some exposure to late night hammer just because you always kind of want to like have something there. Man, it's kind of tough. Like the Clippers are still kind of overpriced in my opinion because like we talked about this in their last game. Their schedule just artificially inflated their prices because before and after the All-Star break, through some scheduling quirk, they had Houston or the Lakers in 5 straight games. So like all these Clippers kept going off like every night.
Well, they weren't playing NBA defenses.
Well, that's the thing. Like they were playing 2 of the worst defenses in the league. So now you get their prices artificial. Like Reggie Jackson's 8,600. Are we serious? I just don't. I know Golden State's had some defensive issues of their own. They got their guys back tonight. Can you play Steph Curry? Always. He's in the same category as Giannis. I'm never going to tell you, you can't.
I think he makes a statement tonight. I think Steph comes out and makes a statement tonight.
And that's possible, but he's 11K. If I'm spending that, I'm playing Durant and I'm living with that end result.
You're gonna sleep like a baby. If Steph
outscores KD, it's the same as Crowder. Hey, sometimes it's gonna happen.
That's what it is. It's absolutely what it is. So we will dive into our props for profit, and we'll start with the spicy one. I like my tacos spicy, and it's Taco Tuesday. Always got to put a little kick in the tacos. So going with an SGP here, I'll let you take this one away, but it's Durant over 4.5 assists, Durant 30+ points, Montrezl Harrell 20 or more points plus rebounds, and LaMelo Ball 30 or more points, rebounds, and assists at plus 650.
Yeah, so listen, guys, same game parlay. You understand what the score is here. It's 4 legs, so don't go crazy with this. This is my only play of the night, and this is to just kind of reinforce I'm all in on this game as much as I can be. For Durant, once you take Harden off the floor, his assist rate is almost 35%. Like it's kind of crazy to think how much he's distributing the ball. And yeah, some of that is Kyrie hasn't been there, but he's still going to have just so many opportunities just on simple passes to rack up assists. He should get 5 pretty easily here. The 30 points is kind of self-explanatory. He averages 29.5 averages. So, throwing him against Charlotte probably doesn't hurt that whatsoever. He's going to play 40 minutes. I fully expect 30 plus here. For Trez, you pointed out in the article, and you were exactly right. The Hornets aren't going to have a ton of reason to run Mason Plumlee for a bunch of minutes. Andre Drummond's not going to stay on the floor. LaMarcus Aldridge is out. It's going to be small ball, which means Trez should see plenty of minutes, and I'm very interested in him for DFS too, especially since everyone's playing Ayton. I can save $1,300 and just go Trez. Hopefully he plays more towards the 25, 23-minute mark. And against a non-existent Brooklyn interior, he should eat. And LaMelo Ball for 30 points, rebounds, and assists in this environment. I mean, he's averaging 28 as it is. Again, like him playing 29 minutes has to stop. It has to stop. It's just absurd.
If I see 30 or more minutes of Cody Martin tonight, I'm gonna flip.
It's ridiculous, man. You're in the 8th seed. Come on, play your best players. This kid's young. He's fine. Let him run for 35 minutes. It's ridiculous. He's playing 29 minutes.
I'm gonna flip. If they run Cody Martin into the ground tonight, I'm gonna freak out. But speaking of Kevin Durant, you guys know my props profit are always swayed towards my core as well. Durant over 36.5 points plus assists. No, it's not a points plus rebounds prop for Kevin Durant, which are also viable tonight. I love his assist upside in this game.
Yeah,
and
it's immense.
Saw that. So KD over 36.5 points plus assists. Look, he might get this on points alone. Even if he doesn't, I don't see how he scores under 30 points in this game. And do the math with how many assists I have him projected for. It's well over 36.5. So I do like KD over 36.5 at plus 115. Shop that around. Some books will have it at plus 105. Get to the book that has that plus 115. I still saw it there before the show. So my second one's going to be Landry Shamet over 12.5 points at plus 105. Look, this one's likely going to have to come from behind the arc. Orlando's very vulnerable behind the arc. That's what it is, right? So when we're talking about Crowder, we're talking about Ayton. The one thing that I will say from a non-DFS perspective is that Phoenix's bench is awfully shallow now because all these guys are starting, right? So that's where, whether it's a matchup against Orlando or not, Phoenix is only favored by 6 in this one. They're still all going to have to run a decent amount of minutes. And over 12.5 points for Landry Shamet, where all he does is shoot the ball.
Right.
It's at plus 105. It's just way too good of a value to pass up. So I'm taking both of these right now. I'm not parlaying them. You guys know it's pretty rare that I end up doing parlays with those. But coming off the 2-2 night with Tobias Harris over 2.5 assists and DeJounte Murray PRA, just because it's a day ending and why you just take the over on that every single day. But 2 for 2 yesterday, we're running hot.
Hot. I mean, in his first game without Cam Johnson, 34 minutes, 12 field goal attempts, 17 points. That number's too low, especially at plus money.
It's too low at plus money, right? Like it's just realistically there's a lot of volatility there, considering that he lives and dies with a shot. He lives and dies with a shot, and it's Landry Shamet. You know, like that's just what it is. It's self-explanatory when you say it's Landry Shamet. But
you could just stop right there, basically.
You could just stop right there, and someone's gonna nod and say, "Yeah, I understand what you're talking about."
I get it.
And especially to a Clipper fan, and if there's any Clippers fans in the chat. If I tell you, well, it's Landry Shamet, you're going to say, yep, I understand that. Because he could come out one night and drop 35, and he could come out the other night and go 0 for 8 and just ride the bench the rest of the game, right? But 100%. In a case like this, where he's forced to play heavy minutes against a very vulnerable defense in Orlando, I like Landry Shamet over 12.5 points at plus 105. So,
and these are the kind of
Evan
guys
brings up a great point.
Go ahead, no, it's cool. If this game gets out of hand either way, guys like Shamet are still going to play minutes because they're generally a 12, 15-minute guy. They're not going to run, Ayton, Bridges, Crowder into the ground here.
No, absolutely. So and if anything, one of the first guys to come off too would be Campaign.
Exactly.
So that would be the key. That either way, they need someone to handle the ball. It's not like they're not going to have a backup center handle the ball. You know what I mean? Like it's what it is. They're still going to keep Shamet out there no matter what. So I like over 12.5.
I would say Prize Picks is kind of giving you a gimme on that one.
Yeah, so I remember this up. I was going to mention
real bad night, buddy.
I was going to mention for those of you that are not on Prize Picks, make sure you go and join so that if you prefer to play it on a site like Prize Picks, where you're essentially allowed to take all of our props, and most of them will actually be lower on Prize Picks than they are on the sports books as well. So you automatically get a little bit of an edge there too. And you're able to play these where you can get 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, and still make a ton of money. If you get all 3 out of 3 or all 4 out of 4, you make a ton of money. So prizepicks.com, promo code WINDAILY, and you will get a 100% deposit match up to $100. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100 of promo money to play with essentially for free. So you could go and make a crazy prize picks if you want. If you want to go a bit safer, test the waters and make it 2 for 2 and double or triple up your money. Make sure you go on prize picks. And especially tonight, you have an hour and 4 minutes to go and add Kevin Durant to your prize picks. They lowered his total from 29.5 to 25.5. You absolutely have to take the over on that in your prize picks tonight. Prizepicks.com, promo code WINDAILY, 100% deposit match on your first deposit. So we'll burn through the questions and then we'll get out of here. We'll join you guys in Discord as well. It's a good question. Not a lot of people talking about Evan Mobley with no Jared Allen out. Typically, if this was any other slate, Evan Mobley would be, wildly popular. You gotta need love for Mobley, considering the field is flocking towards Kevin Love.
It's funny because Mobley actually is climbing. It's Suns and then it's Cavs at the top of the ownership grid right now.
So the two slowest and lowest
games. Right.
Your strategy.
I completely understand these teams are shorthanded, but there's a line to be drawn that it's just too much. I'm probably just going to pick one. I don't think the correlation is necessarily like bad or wrong, especially with like the Cavs are just super thin from where they started this year. They're down Rubio, Sexton, which has been, for quite a while. Now they're down Allen. They're down Rondo. They're down LeVert. Like they are missing some bodies. So I think the correlation becomes a little bit less of a concern when you're missing this many people.
Absolutely. I do like that. And especially if everyone goes to Kevin Love, I do like Evan Mobley in the spot. I'm a big Evan Mobley guy. So Bane or Adams, if not playing Ja. Yeah, so I put that in Discord. Happy someone asked that question. I'm definitely not opposed to playing Ja Morant tonight, if that's who you're going with for your Memphis and New Orleans exposure. I can't fit it, right? With Durant and LaMelo and CJ and other spends up that I'm going with there. So I don't even want to say I don't mind. I actually really like playing one of Desmond Bane or Steven Adams, especially Steven Adams at the center position, or being only $300 less than DeAndre Ayton. We know everyone's just going to go up to Ayton at that point.
Yep.
He's going to have to be on the court minute for minute when Joe Bell is out there. And keep an eye on this one because the Brandon Ingram injury news does not only impact the Pelicans rotation, it also impacts Memphis as well. Because CJ McCollum is going to be running a ton of pick and roll with Joe Ball out there, and that means more minutes for Steven Adams, and he's been extremely efficient. The two centers got traded for one another as well. Obviously, Steven Adams reaping the benefits of that one, going from the Pelicans to now one of the best teams in the league in Memphis. So it's going to be a good battle between those two guys, and Steven Adams definitely has the leg up on Joe Ball on that one. But you have any thoughts on that one? Do you like being
not at all? Realistically, like the only reason to really not play Adams is typically minutes. And like you mentioned, like this is the perfect matchup for him to get minutes because Joe Ball averages 30, and if Ingram sits, it's going to be higher, which means Adams has to play more. And 6,300 kind of seems like a lot for somebody as volatile as Adams. This is a spot where I'm willing to go for it. And on the flip side, if you do like Bane, I can't blame you either because the Pelicans are bottom 10 in frequency allowed and field goal percentage allowed from 3-point distance. So that's kind of right in Bane's wheelhouse. So I think both are really strong plays. I'd give Adams a slight edge, but I will probably have one of them in my lineups because I can't fit Ja.
Like it. Colin Bane, Shamed Durant, Harold Payne, Nwora, Oubre. I'll see you at the top. I like that one a lot.
Oubre is a nice way to get some Charlotte exposure.
Rozier, 30.5 PRA, Ball 32.5. Which one do you like better, if any?
I'd go with LaMelo. I know that he was your preferred guy in the article, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, as well. Brian says only me and Kevin Love correlate.
You can't even play him today because he's chalky.
Sia checking in. Sia, I can only aspire to be as good as you are one day, my man. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And if you guys are into PJ DFS and are not listening to Sia and cough, the FSWA Golf Writer of the Year in Spencer and Sticks and the rest of the crew, you're doing it wrong. And if you're not into PGA DFS, you should be, because if your only experience on a golf course is like me, where it's beer, like the ratio of beers consumed per hole played, that's as far as my extent as golf knowledge goes. I always win money with Sia and the boys because that's just what they do for us. So make sure you guys go and tune in. The Players Tournament starts, and it's my birthday weekend. So if you guys are playing golf for any weekend, it has to be at the Players Championship. So see ya. Love you, buddy. Thank you for tuning in. If Ingram's ruled out, will Devontae start at point? That's a good question.
I would imagine, because like we have to remember Alexander Walker's
like that question
not there either.
I like that question a lot. So let me check what I have because I already put in the backup plan for.
While you're doing that, just some news. Lance Stevenson continues to be out. Not really like a big deal there. Evan Mobley will be playing center according to Bigger Stats.
That's so fun. I love that.
Dean Wade's going to enter. Dean Wade's going to take the starting spot. But
I love that. Center. Evan Mobley at the 5. Oh my god, I love
against a very.
If he got drafted by any other team, he'd be at the 5. By the way, he's a center.
Man, that's pretty interesting because the Pacers just don't have a ton of size.
I like that a lot. So to answer this question right now, I have Devontae in the starting lineup. What I'm curious to see is if they start,
have to, right?
If they start Alvarado. It's the only thing that I'm curious to see because then their bench would be left to Hernan Gomez. If Devontae starts, their bench Hernan Gomez,
Alvarado,
Graham,
Temple.
If he's starting, it would be Alvarado off the bench. Like it gets awfully thin real quick.
So would you just take whoever starts? Because they're only 500 apart. They're not terribly far apart.
Between Graham and Alvarado?
Yeah, between those two.
Devontae Graham's not really an off-ball player, so I'll see what the model says. I have a feeling it'll like Alvarado a decent amount because Alvarado can shoot the rock. He can shoot it pretty well. So whereas Devontae Graham, it's kind of iffy. CJ McCollum's not giving up ball handling to Damian Lillard. He's like, you know what I mean? Like we're not in Portland anymore. He's not gonna relinquish being the primary ball handler to shift to the 2 because he wants to give it up to Devontae Graham. That's not
right.
That's not really a thing. So Devontae Graham playing off ball is far from ideal for the Pelicans. I could see them doing it just because it's the Pelicans, but Alvarado definitely fits that offense better at the 2 than Devontae Graham. So
by the way, Ingram is
in the chat, but
Ingram is game time decision. Thank you so much, Pelicans.
That is so helpful. I really appreciate that.
I love you
Mark,
guys.
Checking in from Twitch. What's up? Klay Thompson and play for you on FanDuel. Absolutely. $5,500 Klay Thompson.
Oh, $5,500. Oh my goodness.
Right. Remember when I think who was asking the question? I feel like it was.
Was it Alvin? I think, right?
It was Alvin. I feel like it was Alvin. Anyways, I'm not going to do it because I have my glasses on. It's going to take me 10 minutes to scroll to find that comment. But someone was asking about FanDuel cores versus Draftkings cores. It's typically, the same. And then we'll always, kind of highlight someone that's wildly underpriced. Klay Thompson is exactly that tonight. So Klay Thompson is certainly in play on FanDuel at 5,500. That just makes no sense whatsoever. Stacking, I assume that's stacking. Yeah, he says opposed to stacking Stephen Klay. Yeah, I'm not stacking Stephen Klay unless it's a showdown for the NBA Finals when the Warriors win the championship.
And I think especially on DK where you have to commit 17-7 to do that, I can't see. That's so hard for that to pay off. It's so hard.
It's too much. The only time I would do that would be when they're playing. I don't even want to say LeBron. When they're playing the Lakers, when they're playing LeBron, and when they're playing KD. That's the only time I would consider doing that. It's like they take those games personally. There's a reason why LeBron went off against the Warriors. Everyone in that game takes those games personally, just because of what's been happening over the last decade. Drummond should smash if he's a go. Yeah, like on paper, it's a good spot. We always play bigs. Yeah, we always play bigs against Charlotte. It's just
Steve Nash does not like big men.
Yeah, Steve Nash does not. He does not like big men, and Drummond's gonna. He might be hand over knees after a couple possessions going back and forth with LaMelo Ball and Kevin Durant running after one another. He might be hands over knees. So that's the only thing.
After his first 2 games when the Nets were literally almost 8-man rotations and Drummond played 24, 23 minutes, he's only eclipsed 20 once, and that was against Milwaukee, and that makes sense because they have Giannis. Who does Charlotte have that forces Drummond to stay on the court here?
Yeah, exactly.
He played 17 minutes last game, and listen, could Andre Drummond double in 17 minutes against Charlotte? Yeah, potentially. Am I going to play him at 5,800? Nah, because the floor is just too low
there. Anthony Clay. What is this FanDuel?
This has to
How
be
is that
FanDuel.
possible?
I mean, I kind of see why Keith brings up Drummond because the rest of that lineup is just kind of ridiculous.
The only thing that I would consider doing, like run a second lineup, because that lineup makes like it's just lethal. I would just run a second lineup where you come off Steph and you upgrade upgrade your front court a bit. That's what I would do. Like you don't have to go punt point guard. Like there's a lot of good mid-range guys at the power forward and center position. So you can just drop Steph to a lower tier mid-range stud, and then
you could also play around Buddy. Buddy's still 72 even on FanDuel. It's a pretty penny to like when Brogdon's active. It's a little bit more expensive than I usually like to go. So yeah, there's no 3-point bonus either. That doesn't help.
That's the only thing. Quick line: Brian Cole, Shamet, KD, Norris, Speedy. Yeah, so the only thing with Speedy that like I wish it was Speedy season. It's just right now he's not popping all that much, and if he's like 1 to 2 points off what I have him for, it's like a quick 15 DK.
Right, and that's not going to help. Even at 3,200, but you have to at least still try and get to 20, and it would be very, very tight for Speedy tonight. I wish I could say differently.
Exactly. Second to last one. If Alvarado starts, Graham off the bench unowned. Yeah. I know we both like grabbing spots like that, and I saw your Josh Richardson play too. I had some in large field tournaments yesterday thanks to the Model 2. So yeah, that would be one of those scenarios also where I wouldn't be completely. It's just likely just put CJ in my main lineup in large field. I would likely just go lower exposure and like lower exposures to that game altogether. I'll probably go like Bane, or if you want to go to Ja, that's where you could kind of like move things around. If you don't want to play CJ, you can go up to Ja and then down from a mid-range guy like Mobley to Devontae Graham to make that work. But yeah, like the math kind of adds up to go Devontae Graham and then lower range in the mid kind of for Memphis and Bane and Adams, or if you want to go all the way up to Ja, that'll what'll get you if you want to go with Devontae Graham. So
right,
I'm interested to see that build. Kevin Love, no green check mark, which means it's time to rock with him. Yeah, I'm curious to see where the green check mark syndrome people are at with Kevin Love now. So maybe Dean Wade's going to be like 70% rostered, but we'll keep you guys posted in Discord. As always, thank you for joining us. WinDailySports.com on all social media as well. Make sure you guys follow the two of us as well. Come for the content, stay for the gifts and the fun and the entertainment. We wish you guys all the best. Good luck tonight. Be safe, be healthy. That was for you, Tony. Be safe, be healthy. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for Wet Wednesday's edition.